get it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, um, the head of the Innovation Trail. Everyone knows about the Freedom Trail, but for 400 years, Boston's reinvented itself, and we have the executive director of a trail that celebrates innovation in our region. What are you, Alham? What are your favorite parts of the trail, and why is the trail important today?
I think it's hard to say what's my favorite, but the thing that I love is as somebody who's worked in Kendall Square at the Broad Institute for over 10 years, the first time that I took the trail tour, I learned so much. I had no idea the density and the breadth and the impact that the innovations from our local area have allowed. Things like Margaret Hamilton writing the code to get the Apollo 2 and landing on the moon in a time where software engineering wasn't even a trade or something that you could study. Things like more recently but recognizing that Moderna created the mRNA vaccine that allowed us to leave the pandemic during COVID-19. Inventors like Lewis Latimer, son of Chelsea, who both was involved in the technological invention of the filament that's part of the light bulb, the invention of the light bulb, as well as the patent drafter. These were stories, many of these were not stories that I was familiar with, and I'm quite blown away. They're some of hundreds of stories from our region. And I think, as John mentioned, we do a fantastic job of telling the stories of the revolution. We're here celebrating that today. We do a much less good job, in my opinion, about telling the stories of 400 years of revolution and innovation that have happened thereafter and continue to happen today. So I'm excited to tell these place-based stories, share them with people that come to the trail. Having been part of these innovation ecosystems myself, and seeing the value in them, it's a really value-aligned role, and I'd love to share that with you, these stories with any of you if you ever join us.
So your trail runs from the telephone, 1876 Alexander Graham Bell, from Glasgow to Maritimes, and was teaching at BU, to the mRNA vaccine, Generation On, Generation Alpha, or whatever is after that. What does that era add to the future trail? Who does it include? Is it physical AI? What are some of the things that you are preparing? If you went into DeLorean and did your trail, went into the future, that's a Back to the Future reference, what would your trail look like?
Yeah, I think it's hard to predict the exact future, but the thing that I am certain of is that the ecosystem that allowed those things to happen, specifically in Greater Boston, is still thriving and is very unique. It's a special sauce that a lot of places are trying to better understand and replicate, but I think it's difficult. It's made up currently, or has been made up by academic institutions, nonprofit research institutes, for-profit companies, investors, policymakers that are really working with and within the investment ecosystem and trying to both move things forward and protect the people that these innovations are going to be introduced to. That ecosystem was built on decisions that were made a long time ago. The opening of the first public school at Boston Latin, the opening of the first higher ed university at Harvard, building strong civic and as openly accessible civic organizations as possible. And a lot of the social innovations that have allowed for other people to be included over the years. It didn't always start that way. A lot of people were excluded early on, but allowing for things that I think allow for people from underrepresented communities to participate, and not participate just to be, a part of the list, but to genuinely contribute new ideas, fresh ways of thinking about things. And I think
right. For time, I got two other questions. You've been at the bench for 2 decades. That's not the legal bench. Masters from Harvard, went to UC San Diego. You came here. You were a scientist. What is the one habit of how we do science that you want still standing centuries from now? tricentennial, what's a habit that's happening?
Yeah, I think science thrives when it's most collaborative and when it's really thinking about uh, what the individual experiment is doing in kind of the bigger context. What are the overall goals? What are the communities, organizations, other labs that we could be collaborating with? Really thinking about the whole ecosystem and really finding ways to enrich and make better what we're doing in the lab all of the time, and iterating on that, learning from that. The basics of science is, you learn from the things that don't work out, and you make them better, and that type of.
All right, final question. You argue health inequality starts upstream, and whose data is in the set over the next few years? Does AI in research close the gap or bake it in deeper?
I think that's a question that still needs to be answered. We have a choice here. I think that's what I would advocate for everyone in this room, every innovator and investor, is really be thoughtful about the innovations we're creating, make them as fair, as universally, or as close to universally beneficial as possible, and really think through potential harms and ways that it can differentially and negatively impact certain communities. We know that existing data sets are biased, and they are introducing biases already in health settings. This is well studied by researchers at MIT. And it's important for us to recognize that, make adjustments. We have the skills, we have the scientists, and it's a choice. It doesn't have to be this way. So I would always push us to think about how we can ask questions about how to make things better and more beneficial for broader parts of society, and really think through potential harms early on.